So best of 5.
I didn't-
So
Yeah.
okay, does it work for you or did it kick you out?
It dropped me from the group here. Give me a
Oh,
second here.
alright. Let's see. Pause for a second. I think I'm still... No, I'm not sharing my screen. I'll share my screen real quick in Discord so you can check there as well. Okay, while you're fixing that, so Valdemar in yellow, I think that's his signature color. Playing the Holy Roman Empire is also a very fitting color for HRE. Against Myriad in red, playing the Delhi, also his signature color.
Okay.
Good.
I will work off of your screen share there,
All right.
and
Okay.
next round we'll do better.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if they use a custom map and you don't have it downloaded, it can be pretty tricky to get into that. And like I had it last week
Yeah.
with another mate, and he didn't have a certain custom map, so it is what it is. I wish they would fix that. But yeah, for now, regular Delhi opener with mill, honor berries, and mosque as well. Unfortunately, the gold is way outside, so it will not receive the influence here.
Yeah, I mean that's a choice that was made by Myriad, right? Like he's prioritizing
Yeah.
getting the influence towards, future lumber camps when they come in.
Exactly, yeah, absolutely. It's his choice, like on a high level like that. Like he's prioritizing the lumber camp. He could have placed the mill at a mosque, and I probably would have done. Sorry, probably would have done that. Place it like here, and then it most likely would still reach the influence here. But yeah, he deliberately chose to not do that and go for the berries here first. And then again, like gold is not really that important for Delhi early on.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
it's
really a
interesting.
question if you actually even go for a specialized pick like immediately, if it's like that important to have it immediately.
Good job. Yeah.
So
So Myriad brought out his scholar to prevent early spears, but then he went back just as the spears actually arrived. So the
yeah,
scholar was out to heal up the villagers, and you see that's why he's got 4 on gold right now. He saw that early barracks in the scouting,
yeah.
and is out here to respond to it. So that's a really heads up play. I would have not caught that most of the time.
Yeah, I don't think if I would have either, and I actually was wondering like what the scholar was doing there, and it kind of looked like he was playing, like Out of the Dragon with the or HRE with the prelate here, trying to
Yeah, my
inspire the
first thought
villages.
was, did we get the colors switched by accident?
Yeah, that would be fun. But yeah, so like very heads up play, and then like the scholar, yeah, easily able to prevent like most aggression here. But then again, also delaying the tech research quite a bit. So in a sense, like Valdemar is like serving, like these units are serving 2 different purposes at the moment. So very interesting
Yeah.
play here.
It is a real cost, right? Like it's not free to move your your scholars out like that. I mean, it's better than the alternatives, but it isn't free.
Yeah, and like also like the timing, it's just like the research speed. I mean, like one scholar may not do a whole lot, but it is notable. And so if you don't have it in your mosque, like yeah, you can tell that just like took like 20 seconds off, and it's like the small things. Like you get ahead just like a little bit. Yeah, then he's pushing out the deer here, making sure that there's not really a viable mill here for the foreseeable future at least.
Well, also making it harder to do pro scouts, right? You can't click on a deer through fog of war. So, I mean, again, we were talking about small little things to try and snowball. Well,
Yeah.
having all the deer dead on the map means that you have to get your scout there first, and then you have to double through.
Yeah, exactly. And welcome Raiders! What a huge raid here! So we're watching the best of 5, the Warchief Club finals between Valdemar in yellow here against Myriad in red. So we just started a couple minutes ago, and it's great to have you here. Thank you very much for the raid. And yeah, I can see it on the screen. The chat is going crazy right now. It's been a little bit little bit quieter during like the semifinals, but now people are here and great to have you. So we're gonna see an exciting series. Both players have been going pretty strong today, and I expect a lot of fun things here. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Archechapel, not a surprise here.
yeah, these pretty standard openers. Maybe a little bit early on the farm from Valdemar. We saw some interesting, early spearman play. But yeah, it's just another Warchief Club finals that we've got these coming out every 2 weeks, and we're excited to see a lot of the people just below the EGC TV top 8 cut thresholds here.
Yeah, pretty much. It's for everybody who may not made it, may have not made it into the EGC, or just wants to have some fun here with Warchief Club, and yeah, just it's a great time. I love casting it. I'm not good enough to be there, but I mean I would get wrecked. It would be fun, but it would only be like a 0-2 series for me, and then that would be it.
I mean, just watching the games is good learning though for anyone who's not better than that, or actually anyone at all, really.
Yeah.
I mean, like here's game. We saw that opening with Dark Age Spearmen, and these Spearmen have been kind of obnoxious around the map, right? They did a little bit of nuisance in the gold. They killed some deer. We saw them kill a scout just a little bit ago.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like pushing out the deer a little bit here, disrupting the gold production here for Delhi, just a little nuisance here and there, and so Valdemar doing a great job here. Also getting in on the Ghazi Raiders here with the Spearmen, some early men at arms as well, and so overall just pushing against the Delhi, not really letting them have their game plan. It's like sometimes it can be really difficult to play if you're playing into the hands of your enemy, because that's exactly what they want, and so he's trying to do exactly the opposite, pushing off gold, almost losing a horseman, but just almost, and kind of looking.
A tower coming in here.
It looks like a tower rush here actually coming up for HAE. So very interesting. Although now it's getting into
shim's out. This is a very courageous villager out here.
Yeah, I was really excited to see what was gonna happen. I wonder if. I mean, what is he doing?
We saw
with
him
that
moving out
village?
early. I'm not sure what he's going for here with this.
I mean, he was moving out with the horseman here, who barely survived the wolf attack. So it kind of almost looks like it was a mistake to bring him there. That's really, really curious. Very curious to see that.
Get the good value of this that he expected.
No, not at all. I mean, I would have loved to see a tower rush, but then again, it's like there's a couple villagers, so they can probably contest that. And so the price for winning that, to answer the question in chat, so every 2 months we have a payout, and the price mainly depends on, Drax, correct me if I'm wrong, but it mainly depends on the donations, basically. So it's a free tournament, it's free to play, but we rely on community donations. And so the more you donate, the more people basically can win. So yeah, donations is a win-win basically for everybody. So yeah, if you want to support us, or if you want to compete and you want to increase the money yourself, feel free to donate something to us.
Yeah, it is a small prize, but it is a real prize, right? Like USD dollars are good dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like I've won a couple times. It's always fun to just win something, It's like it's fun to play, but always like also to just win something. Be like, oh great, I won a tournament. Like this sounds cool, even if it's only a couple bucks. Like I won a tournament. Like who can say that?
Yeah, I know there's a couple of things. One did want to point out that Myriad's been really good at bringing back his Ghazis that have been low health for healing, and have feudal age healing, which is really nice to see them using that optimization. But the other thing is, like, ladder's a different beast than tournament play. It's really, tournament play is a lot more community focused, right? You get to meet some of the people week after week. You get to play with a bit more focus and planning, right? We have a map pool ahead of time. You can, I love strategizing about all right, on this map, I want to play this civ because they do X, Y, Z better, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of benefits to doing tournament play, even at the lower levels.
Yeah, I think the fact alone that you have to like back-to-back games where you have to, you know, quote unquote perform, also helps to, like, you know, it's not like, oh, I had a ladder game and then I'll take a break and maybe I'll play tomorrow until like the day after I played like 2 more games. It's like, no, you have to like to get in a certain mindset and compete over like a longer period of time. I mean, they've been going for, was it like 6 or 7 hours now? Like this whole tournament has been going for quite a lot now, and so yeah, it just, you know, like trains you in a way to be more, yeah, in the game. And in the meantime, so Delhi is, as Delhi loves to do, trying to get all the sacred sites. A little bit too few units here to really contest that, so this will not hold for long. But
yeah, I think they were there mostly just to hope to set up some walls and be a little bit disruptive.
yeah,
The real one that he's locking down is the up top here, and they've managed to pick up, looks like, 1 deer pack as well. So the other deer have been defended or disrupted, so that's not a big thing anymore.
no,
But I only see 3 on the mini map right now, right?
yeah, it definitely looks like that. So yeah, we have a couple ones here. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I do wonder where the last one was, but yeah. So he locked in one in this one, and now bring in the mass of his army here, so that he will still hold that, and then you have the one in the middle where you're kind of like traversing through anyway with your army. So that's usually a little bit easier to defend. But meanwhile, Valdemar is not sleeping, and he has quite a lot of army as well.
Interesting fight to take, right? Oh,
yeah,
there's the gap.
It's not a fight that you want to take as Delhi, I feel like, because like yes, you have the archers and the Ghazi raiders, but you have to get rid of
too many spears there.
Yeah, it's too many spears. You have to get rid of the spearmen first, which is kind of difficult to do when you're having men-at-arms and horsemen in your face. And then the Ghazi raiders are kind of like trying to, you know, like juggle around that. And so a little bit favored here for Valdemar, I would say. Just because there's still spearmen standing.
Wipe out both armies, right? There's not going to be much left here. And I do think that favors the HRE in general. They've got a bit of a better overall economy, so they can kind of remass better. I know Delhi remasses faster because they've got double production if they really want it, with putting scholars in buildings. But when it comes to resources, I think HRE likes just trading resources.
Yeah, and I mean overall, like if your army is more like static with the men-at-arms, you like your opponent with the Ghazi raiders to not have a massive army lead, because I mean you can just sit in your base and that's fine. But if you know that your opponent has 20 Ghazi raiders and you don't have anything against that, it's gonna be pretty tough to deal with that. And
and the Ghazi raiders are kind of the reason that Valdemar built so defensively, right? He's got a lot of partial walls, he's got some towers up around his base, and that's really just shut down those raiders from swinging by and being a nuisance.
Yeah, absolutely. So, House of Learning, the choice for Myriad, pretty standard as well. So nothing too crazy so far in terms of how the game played out. I would say it's pretty much how I would have expected it. Although Valdemar is a little bit behind in terms of his castle age timing. I mean, yes, he massed up quite a lot of units here. I mean, 60 men-at-arms, that's quite a lot, but he does want to go to castle age at some point, especially because of the relics here, and Delhi is just freely, oh man, he could have just walked by, but he chose violence.
Well, no, I don't think he was ever getting out. It's pretty unlikely that Valdemar doesn't stop by and update with those knights or when those men-at-arms come through, so horsemen would have picked that guy off.
I mean, it is pretty unlikely, but at the same time we did have a fight in the middle, so it could, you know, the chances are very slim. Very slim. But I mean, okay, let's put it this way. I think I would have gambled with just walking out and hopefully
Sure.
making it out alive. Because
Sure.
like either way,
Maybe
like
trying to get into
the
the
Wallow
stealth forest up there.
yeah, that's the thing. Like you try to like sneak into the stealth forest and then all the way around, because the Wallow will not go off anyway. Because like if if Valdemar wasn't aware of the situation, at least by the Wallow he would know. And so yeah.
The audio cue is a very, very big one.
Exactly.
But now Delhi's got man-at-arms of their own coming through. They've got crossbows of their own. We see the Ragna's going up for Valdemar, but he's already two relics behind, and a third one's pretty close to the base of Myriad. So I don't know how easily it will be for him to get the relics he wants to pay that off.
Yeah, I mean, basically all 3 relics are like kind of in the middle of the map. There's no like safe relic for HAE, and so he only has 1 prelate anyway right now, which is sitting in the Archchapel, and so not really a great way for Valdemar to quickly grab the remaining relics. And I mean, yeah, he has a horseman here. That's cool. But could be difficult actually for him to grab some of the relics. And meantime, Myriad is not letting off, letting his foot off the gas here, and just relentlessly going into the base here.
Yeah. These 2 men-at-arms are having a hard time bashing against each other. But can you click on one of the Delhi men-at-arms? See if they finish the honed blades upgrade.
Where is it? There it is. Doesn't look like it.
No, so they haven't done it yet. So this is just a slugfest going on here.
Meat shield, and then a couple of archers in the back. And then yeah, the crossbows.
We see the first crossbows coming out. That's gonna make a big difference.
Yeah, the crossbows are gonna be huge here. I mean, the Delhi archers can kind of deal with that, but then again, you're also having like the outpost here, firing away a couple crossbows here in the back, but they've been distracted by the stable, and so it could. Let's see. I mean, we do have there's 1 relic here, and then one more, but yeah, it really looks like ooh, they are idle. That is not good. That's not good.
Yeah, those guys were escaping from gold, it looks like.
Yeah, they were on gold, but I mean, like, they went all the way across the map, basically. It's like, that's quite a distance. Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, so Myriad doing an extremely good job here with taking all of the relics, which is, I mean, if you can manage that against HRE or Order of the Dragon, like, you'll love your life. Like, this is huge.
Huge boon, especially when they go Ragnas. Right now, he's got a Castle Age landmark that did actual nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that, I mean, like, yeah, he can go for, like, you know, inspired warriors, for example, and things like that. But other than that, like, it's not doing anything for him. And as much as I don't like the Burgrave, it would have done so much more than the Ragnitz is doing right now. So yeah, definitely is a feels bad moment here for Valdemar. And Myriad doing a great job with just relentlessly keeping him busy here with the need to fortify more and more of his base, and just, you know, like, constantly on the back foot. Like, this must be so exhausting in a way, you know, like, feeling always behind.
Yeah. So we have a comment from chat asking about the meta right now in 1v1 civ-wise, and I think the common thoughts are it's a pro scout meta right now.
Yeah.
Pro scouts are very easy to use, and deer are plentiful on many maps. So any civs that are good at harvesting, getting pro scouts out on the map and collecting the deer are above what you would have remembered previously. So class examples here are China, Rus, even HRE sometimes. Delhi gets the pro scout upgrade for free. But overall, it's a pretty good balance. There's maybe some tuning that needs to be done about pro scouts. And the Delhi elephants are really strong right now, as we're staring at the first jumbo walking through the page or walking through the field. But it's a good meta.
Yeah, like, also, like you said, easy to use, and it's also kind of hard to punish as well. I mean, like, yes, you can kill a scout here and there, but it's really difficult to really punish that. And basically, like if you take in one deer and then you lose a scout, it's still kind of worth. And so yeah, definitely the current go-to meta if you want to play it safe and be super annoying. But yeah, and the tower elephant, or the elephants in general, like they will get in the next mid-season patch, they will get there will be options to better counter them. I don't know what they will be. Maybe the bombards will do extra damage, or the crossbows will deal more damage. I don't know. But there has been like hints from the patch notes that there will be something to better deal with them. So yeah, it's a game with constant changes and constant balance fixes in a way, and so it's yeah. Overall, I think it's in a good state, and my personal advice, honestly, would be pick the Civ that you like to play and then just pick it, play it, because at the end of the day, it's a game. It should be fun, and if you're playing a Civ that you don't like just because it's strong, like your life is gonna be miserable. So just play something you like, and then you're good to go.
It's interesting to me how, like circling back to the game we've got here going on, how Myriad is choosing to play this game. He had a pretty big advantage over Valdemar earlier, right? We saw him, sending troops into his base. We've seen the knights come through and do some raids, but then he backed off and is being pretty passive. He's securing his gold line, his sacred victory sites, and it looks like he's really trying to push for the sacred site victory. And I don't know if I would have had the planning to do that. I think I would have played a bit too aggressively and maybe got in trouble with the towers, but with all the relics, all the sacred sites, he's just playing it slow.
Yeah, and I mean at the same time he is slowly fortifying it, which is not gonna hurt him in any way. Like it's not like a risky play or whatever. And at the same time, if you're looking at the resources, like he's spending his food very well, and he's close to having the gold that he would need for Imperial Age. So in a sense, he could make a rather quick switch to Imperial Age if you wanted to. And then also the thing with Delhi is like as soon as you run out of your food, you need to make a farm transition. I mean, as any Civ needs to do, of course. And if you don't have to, it takes a little bit of time, and so like it's not terrible for Delhi to get a couple minutes of breathing room in order to fortify your positions and then get your farm eco going, and then once that is going and you feel comfortable, then you can push out on the map, or you go Imperial Age, get your upgrades. And so I do like the strategy.
All in Imperial here. I think he's really wanting to hunker down these sacred sites. And you see here we've got an engagement going on. This is an important... Valdemar's a bit torn. He wants something on that sacred site to decap it. But one man-at-arms versus one Gazi isn't going to do it.
No.
But he kind of needs his entire army to defend this.
Yeah, and even then it doesn't work. I mean, like, look at all the crossbows in the back here for Myriad. And so, like, even as is, like, the Tower elephants, like, they've been, like, barely scratched here. And so, it's really, like, if you look at the, if you look at the health, like, it's barely doing a dent here. There's not even, like, 5 scholars in the back healing it up. And so, Valdemar realizes that this is not something that he can recover from, and that Myriad has been in a very, very good position to close out the game. If not now, then in a couple minutes at the latest.
Yeah, that was a very good, I'm going to call it a slow burn game from Myriad, right? There was some disruption early from Valdemar with, the Dark Age barracks and spears. His pro scouts mostly got disrupted by, again, those early spears that were running around. And Myriad took advantage, got his lead, and then didn't do something foolish to lose it like I always do. Mm-hmm. He secured his sacred sites and then, locked it down.
Yeah, I think part of being like such a good player as those guys are is, like knowing the timings, of course, with when to strike and stuff, but also being patient enough, not overcommitting. Because it is easy, like you're winning a fight and then you rush forward and like, yes, I won the game, like I'm gonna destroy this eco, and then you completely misjudge the situation, and all of a sudden you're on the losing side, and you're wondering to yourself like, what happened? Because I was just winning like a minute ago and now I'm losing. Like, what happened?
Yeah, and I think in the dark, I would favor Roos in this matchup, right? Like we were just talking earlier, it's a pro scout meta. Things that can easily harvest the deer are really good. I know Roos had, I guess it's a year ago now, the bounty change, but once people adjusted, Roos were still good, and Roos are good at all points of the game, right? Like the bounty, you're going to hit tier 3 bounty. That's going to match, if the game goes late, it's going to match anything that the Ottomans are doing. But if it's not, or like if you're in the feudal age, Roos have great bonuses for feudal, right?
Yeah.
An easy plus 20 wood collection if you're, build one tower. Oh, shucks darn, I really hard pressed to build one tower.
Yeah, it's like, I hate to, I mean, granted it is like a different kind of tower, so it's more expensive and stuff, but then again, like, yeah, it's also better. Like, I wouldn't mind having a tower like that for the Mongols, just have a couple different towers that you can choose from. That would be super fun. But yeah, so let's see how the players are gonna tackle it. So Valdemar, playing the Ottomans, he did go for some early stone, so he is going to look for a military school, potentially some early aggression. But then again, the question now is, so since Roos has been changed quite a lot, opening with 2 hunting cabins, like there's literally no need to go on gold. Like up to, if you want to go for a fast castle age, then yeah, you might have to go for it. But other than that, like the passive gold income that you get from the gold that you get from the sheep, from the deer, like there's really no need for you to go on gold. So what do you punish here in this base? Berries don't really interest you as rules.
I think this is a response to Pro Scout. I think he wants to use these early spears to try and mess up the deer. Either push them around, defend them from early pickups, right? Like the goal here is to make it so that there have to be some archers or other spears on the field rather than just pure scouts in order to pick up the deer. I think that's Valdemar's theme of the day from looking at exactly 2 games.
Yeah.
It's early spears to defend pro scouts. And he did defend it last game and then ended up losing the mid-game battles anyways. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out here.
Yeah. Yeah, and then again, so like with the best of 5, also provides, like, I wouldn't call it a learning curve, but at least like a way to be like, okay, like last game this was my issue, like he did that or whatever, and then you can adjust, and then just refresh and move on, and so it's a lot better, like a learning experience in a way than if you would just go for a ladder and it's always like a different player. And yeah, you're right. So he uses the spearman to just go for the deer here and protect that. And then it makes a lot of sense, because otherwise, like, yeah, what you're gonna punish with the ruse, he could go for a tower here, and then like the woodline would be safe as well. The hunting cabin couldn't be torched down, and so ruse base, like with the new meta, with the changes, with the bounty system, very safe, very condensed in the early stages. Which probably also helped to revive the Golden Gate a little bit more, because there's less need for example, like, go for a Kremlin between the gold and the stone. Like in previous seasons, you would have seen that. Like that would have been the play, to put a Kremlin there, or maybe like closer to the woodline to get the bonus there. But nowadays it's just not needed so much anymore. Sultanate trade network coming up. Interesting choice. I do love it. I like the landmark. It's just not as often seen, I would say.
It's a really good choice if you're worried about your gold flow, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the game comes down to gold flows, particularly in Castle. And Ottomans, they've got a choice between, are you worried about food or are you worried about gold? Well, if I'm pushing in here with my spearmen, I'm not that worried about food. So yeah, let's claim that free gold and see where we can go from there. He's not going to have good trade routes, right? If we look at the trading post, it's right behind his base.
Yeah.
So unless he builds up like a market, because that's something you can do sometimes with Ottomans, right? If your trade post is in the corner, well, you got your Sultanate, you put your 10 traders in, and once things are secured, you let them loose. You go send them all for 1 or 2 trips, and you get it all roped in.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's not going to be the case in this game.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, like, yeah, he's pushing in a deer. He has berries safe in the back here. There's close berries here as well. There's even more berries here on the north in the corner. And so overall, like, his problems probably are not gonna be food. He even could use a vizier point to get some more sheep if he needed to. So there's a couple different options that you can go for. But yeah, having gold, especially if you want to go for maybe like some kind of like fast castle play. If you want to get the upgrades and things like that, definitely a safe choice. And yeah, we can see he moved completely off gold actually. So he has 3 traders, like standard, like, you know, like immediately in, of course. And so for the time being, he sits on 3 traders and nothing else. So
yeah,
interesting.
and it's funny. We were talking about, you know, Ottomans pushing in deer with their spears. You jump over to Myriad. He's also pushing in deer with his scouts this time.
Yeah.
He hasn't finished his pro scouts. He delayed that a little bit. But he's pushed 1 deer pack almost all the way back to his base at this point.
Wow, look at that. Yeah, I mean,
it really goes to show how undervalued deer were kind of before, right? I think the pro scouts made us realize, you know, you're a great resource on the map.
Yeah, I think before it was honestly just like, if you're going for pro scouts, or if you're French. Like, that was almost the only times when you, or maybe Mongols as well, like the times where you're like, you need to establish map control first, of course, and then you can go on the deer. But if not, well, then you just don't, like, you don't bother with it. And yeah, as you mentioned, like now you see like it's a like, again, it's like besides a boar and shoreline fish, it's the fastest scatter rate for villagers.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
Yeah, indeed. And so yeah, we have 2 military schools, the blacksmith covering both of them, so very nice layout here, with the influence rate, increasing the production rate. So adding, yeah, stable, another barracks here as well. So barracks, very important to get an upgrade for the spearmen, because yeah, you're getting free upgrades, free units from the military school, but they don't provide any upgrades. And so I've seen quite a lot of Ottoman players with their Dark Age spearmen way into castles.
Yeah, that's definitely something that you have to be concerned about when you've got free units. Yeah, I know when I was playing Mali with old Farimba, that also didn't really, or you didn't want to use the Farimba to upgrade, so I would often build 1 barracks, 1 range just to build the upgrades.
Yeah, but it makes sense, right? I mean, that's definitely a smarter way to deal with that issue. And yeah, now we can see Sipahi moving on to first the archers, cleaning them, and then yeah, we also have horsemen and knights in the mix here for Myriad, so quite cavalry heavy.
This is a really good raid by Valdemar, right? He picked off a lot of archers and didn't even lose any of his Sipahi. I know you're kind of losing out on your deer, right? You just managed to pull back 4 of those deer, but you did take a military advantage here.
Yeah, absolutely. And so definitely very nicely done by him. I believe it was no, I don't even know how many archers he killed, but it was just a couple ones. And so the thing with Rus Knights is like, or with the French Knights rather, is they do get the chivalry, which is a massive bonus that they get even in feudal age. And then later on they get the royal bloodlines. But other than that, I would have to double check the numbers, but I don't even think that the royal knights do more damage than regular knights. I think it's mainly the HP, right?
They get a charge bonus as well. So when they charge, they get bonus damage as well.
Right, that too. That's true. Yeah. So when they charge, they then deal a little bit more damage in like the seconds following that, which is one of the reasons why they can easily snipe villagers more easier than other knights. And so yeah, they are stronger in a sense than the Rus Knights. But then again, the Rus Knights, I mean, in feudal age, they're both having 190 health, and so in general, like they're also like a very good choice. And that's also the reason why in previous seasons it was very popular to go for mass Rus Knights and then just spamming archers behind that, because you're having such a good production.
Wood production.
Yeah.
And we see our first Vizier point being Imams running across the map. And he's already healed up the Sipahi once. We'll see if he pulls this group back. But again, taking advantageous fights and just pulling back. And you know, most of these are free units. He's built his barracks and he's built his stable, but you know the barracks isn't running right now. It's just the stables, and he's pretty close to his castle age already. Myriad, as I say that, is going into his castle age.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you're not far behind, even though you didn't go for pro scouts. You build up quite a lot of army. Army value is like 3 times as high, and I really love the Imam play. I sometimes like to do that as well, just like for the same reason. Like, if you're good on, you know, managing to not let your units die, and then you have feudal age Imams, healing them up is super strong. Not to mention that once you do reach castle age, which now he's going for the Mehmed Imperial Armory, then you can just go back on the relics and grab them with the Imams that you already have. And while you're building the is it a mosque for them as well, I believe? While you're doing that, you can just grab the relics. And so I really like that Vizier point being used for the Imams. This is really good.
And we saw a little bit of a raid going on. Got a 1 Vil kill, it looks like.
Yeah.
And we were building ramps and then kind of saw what the infrastructure looked like, and I really like that choice of just canceling the ramp, sending the spears back home, but keeping the, you know, very annoying Sipahi running around. I always find it a bit interesting that healing's easiest available in Castle and Imperial Age, right? Like there's a lot of civs that get some form of good Imperial Age healing, but it's definitely the most effective in Feudal when you've got these small armies.
Yeah.
So seeing people some of these civs being able to use feudal healing to get a good advantage has been a really nice example of good micro.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also like the choice of moving away with the spearmen, because I would say most people probably would leave them like with your army to defend against the knights, but at the same time then you're vulnerable at home against the knight raids, and if the knights would decide to go onto the Sipahi, well, the Sipahi are faster, and so like you can choose if you only have a Sipahi, and then maybe like in this situation like a Mechta, and then there was also a scout at some point. You can choose when you want to fight and when not, and if you want to run away, that's fine, and then you have the spearmen at home, and you don't have to worry about like losing them at some point.
And actually, we see Myriad going into Horse Archers as Roost, and that's been a little bit of a menace on the ladder, right? Ranged cavalry, very hard to deal with. But you know what the Mitter can give? And I don't know if he's taken that. Let me check.
Yeah.
He can give a speed bonus. And I know Sipahi are already a little bit faster, but if you do take the Mitter, he didn't take the Mitter drums as his next landmark. But if he does in the future, that'll let him chase those down.
Yeah.
But right now he's got his Mitter set to ranged armor, so an extra 2 armor on these Sipahis. You know, that adds up. They've been trading really well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're having like 5 range armor and they're dealing 13 damage, so I mean that's 8 damage per hit, which is still a lot, of course, but then again, it's like, yeah, almost halved the damage that they're doing. And so that's really strong.
One thing that I often forget about when you're just looking at health bars like this, right? There's no increments or gradients like you do see in other games like Dota sometimes or whatever. So all health bars are full, but like, you know, those Horse Archers, their full health bar is 85 health.
Yeah.
That's half health bar for the Sipahi.
Yeah, not to mention that the Sipahi also deals bonus damage against ranged, which the Horse Archers are. And so it is very, very effective. Like you basically 2-shot them if you hit them once and you're faster than them, so you will eventually catch up to them. And then the Sipahi also like super healthy and strong horsemen. Compared, like usually a horseman has like 140 or 45, something like that, and they have like 40 health more. It's almost as much as the feudal knights do, and so yeah, Sipahi is super strong.
A little bit extra tile range too, right? Every little bit helps when you got to chase down these very annoying, very frustrating Horse Archers.
Yeah, that's right. I also have a longer range, so I mean, they're also more expensive. Like, of course, yes. But I mean, I think it's totally worth it. And like, whenever I deal with Sipahi, I realize that against regular horsemen, you might get away with not going for spearmen if you have knights or a knight kinda unit. But against Sipahi, I feel like you always have to have spearmen because they're just so strong.
Yeah, it's weird. Horsemen feel like they're either the best unit of the game or the worst unit of the game. Depends a little bit on what your unique horseman is, right? Like
Yeah.
Gazi and the Pahi, and where you are in the game.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
so
they're very polarizing.
pretty polarizing. I guess you could say that. Yeah, sometimes they feel too weak and sometimes way too strong. And but yeah, Myriad trying to find an opening here right before Valdemar closes the wall here. And yeah, villagers already on the run here. Ooh, Janissary getting mowed down here by the horse archers. That doesn't feel good.
Well, I mean, Valdemar did have, or actually still does have, a pretty good lead, though these horse archers are going to pick off a lot of bills.
Ooh, that's
going to help equalize things quite a bit.
Yeah, that's.
And then we see full walls going up now that we see the full committing to horse archers, but.
Yeah, which makes sense then to just build up your palisade walls and be done with that. And one thing I am very curious to see is if some strategy involves Ottomans going for a second TC and then using the one vizier point. Pax I think it's Pax Ottomana, like where they produce have an increased villager production for 2 minutes or so, something like that. So I'm interested to see if he's like now going to try to get that vizier point just to have a little bit more eco lead, or if he's just going to fully commit into his army now, because that's his main focus right now with the Janissaries and so on.
Yeah, he's sitting on his vizier point right now. Hasn't decided what he wants to use it for.
I mean, because so Myriad did go for second TC. So what usually like Rus usually goes for a late kind of second, or like, a lot of Siths go for a late second TC, and so we could see Ottomans go for a second TC as well at some point.
Well, I mean, adding a second TC in the Castle Age in kind of a neutral game like this, where both sides are playing a bit defensive, is a really smart choice. It isn't necessarily going to get you as far ahead as the fast feudal TC, right? You're thinking about Abbasid, and they're like, oh, we're slamming down a TC the moment we age up almost.
Yeah, yeah.
But what it really does do is help reinforce you from raids. Something comes through and kills 2 to 3 vills. Well, you picked up 2 to 3 extra vills from your second TC, or it gives you a little bit of extra place to garrison them. It helps smooth things out a lot if you're able to find a way to really, I find, get the stone is the challenging part there.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, like with the one vizier point especially, it became more like a lot more viable. So like before, Ottomans usually would go for one TC unless they heavily lost a lot of villagers, and other than that, they usually would stick to one TC. But with the Pax Ottomana, it became a lot more viable to switch into a late second TC and then use that vizier point and then pump out units for a couple minutes, and then you're way ahead. So,
and that's exactly what he did. He did just activate his Pax, well, 30 seconds ago, activate his Pax Ottomana, and at the same time finished up his second build. And then he's pushing ahead with his, he's got some Springalds and Mangonels here, trying to push through the walls.
Yeah, so a little bit trouble here dealing with the wooden fortress, losing a lot of Sipahi here, and potentially also might want to switch into Lancers at some point. I don't know if he will continue going for Sipahi only.
This is like pretty solid crossbow archer mass from Myriad. That's kind of hard to defeat. Lancers are not going to be able to help out here. But we did send some spears around the side to raid some gold bills, so that's nice. And we're hopefully gonna be able to destroy this wooden fortress, but that's Springhold's tower on that one, and you know, the one on his wood line has done quite a bit of work in deterring some of these, I don't want to say full attacks, but a bit stronger than raids.
Yeah, he definitely, I mean, it was kind of like testing the waters in a way, you know, like trying to see if he can breeze through or if he will have to, you know, find a different, like either different strategy or at least a different angle of attack.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, like spearman crossbows, like Valdemar would not be well advised if you would go into lancers now, and Sipais, they're still doing their job in a way. So, yeah. That one scout, super annoying.
Yeah, Myriad did do a nice thing that I feel is underrated. He put a bunch of scouts in stand ground position around the map, and they're only just getting cleared up now. So that's given him a lot of visibility into stuff running around on the edges and corners. Because, I mean, once you've got your pro scouts, they aren't doing that much anyways.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I would say I see it most of the time, but it definitely is underrated and underused. Because, yeah, I mean, if we now switch the vision, like, Myriad doesn't see anything. Like, he has no idea what his opponent, like Valdemar could be cooking on 5 TCs and Myriad wouldn't know. Like, of course he wouldn't expect that, and it probably wouldn't be good, but he could. And so definitely vision can be really key in a game, and same for Valdemar. I mean, he does have this one scout here, which unfortunately doesn't even see that much because of the 2 wood lines here. And other than that, he just knows like where his army is at, and that's about it.
That was a big level up moment for me actually when I was playing, and kind of, I think that was the one that was distinct for me, kind of moving between gold and diamond, right? Was just like, oh, you know, walls are great, but they leave you isolated. You need to be able to see what's going on in order to react. Doesn't matter if you're building walls and building up your army, if your army's all spearmen and they're all longbows, right? Doesn't matter how much of an eco advantage you've got. So, you know, being on the map, present with often cavalry or towers, is just a great way to make sure you're not going to be surprised by anything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember when I switched from Age of Empires 2 to 4, like I don't know, two and a half years or so ago. Like in Age of Empires 2, I love to, you know, like hit feudal age and then just build walls immediately. Like I was going on stone already and then just build walls, and I felt safe like as soon as the walls were there. And before that, I was scared. Like I was like, oh, I don't know anything. Like they could attack at any time. I need to have walls. And then when I switched to Age of Empires 4, I started playing the Mongols, which, you know, they famously don't have walls. And making that transition and be like, you know what, I actually can just build a couple towers and then I'll be just as fine in most cases. Really helped, like, yeah, as you said, like you know, level up in a way. And the only times I really dislike the Mongols not having walls is like late Imperial Age, where you're like, damn it, I do wish I had some walls now to protect my base from those 40 knights running into my base, because I right now can't do anything against that, and I just wish I had walls. But other than that, like if anybody wants to, you know, like learn how to play on the map and work with vision and all that kind of stuff without, you know, necessarily walling yourself in, Mongols is a great way to start learning that actually.
We're gonna have a nice conflict starting in the middle here. We've got 5 or 6 Springholds as Valdemar's answer to the spears.
Yeah, which, I mean, they do work in a mass like that. You know, like I think at the beginning of the season when they were like just newly changed, I think they were some kind of like a meme unit, and people needed to figure out like how to use them properly. But I think like by now it's fairly well developed, and so I think they're actually a fun addition to your map, to your army.
Yeah, he's got his Imperial Armory once he got those first 2 Mangonels out, set to Springholds, and they're, you know, pumping through every minute or so. But we're gonna have a bit of some issues on the right side here, where we've got a large gold, we've got 2 keeps going up.
Yeah, you kind of want to cancel. Well, maybe he doesn't want to cancel the keep necessarily, but this definitely is a difficult position.
And get his keep up. but it's gonna be really close. You got to be really careful with your Janissaries to not get hit by those mangoes.
Yeah, it's really gonna be tough here, and the Janissary is definitely the most vulnerable here right now with all the mangoes against you. And yeah, you can see like the damage is so huge. Like it's like even though they were nerfed and they're not as good anymore, as soon as they hit, they still do a ton of damage.
Yeah. But Valdemar did get that keep up. That's gonna lock out that gold, but Myriad's gonna hopefully use the Siege Workshop to get that down. And it looks like he's ended up losing this fight overall.
Yeah, so he did get the keep, did like sort of lose the fight. I guess you could say that he did kind of lose the fight. Right? But yeah, definitely shut down the gold. That's gonna be quite nice for him. But yeah, just a couple rams or maybe a trebuchet that should solve this issue. And then it's just
it's not essential that Myriad obtain that gold, right? He's got 2 more golds in his base and 1 in the wall. I think this is, from Myriad's perspective, securing the sacred site and kind of getting a free gold.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't turn out to be. It turned out Valdemar was able to fight for that and at least disrupt it a bit, right? There were villagers lost there. But overall, a strategic win for Myriad.
Yeah,
that being said, Valdemar's into Imperial.
Yeah, so I would agree. It was a strategic win for Myriad. It did give Valdemar, even though he kind of maybe lost the fight a little bit, gave him enough time to go Imperial Age, which I mean Myriad is not far off at all. He just needs to switch his macro just a little bit, or maybe stop reducing units for a half a minute, and then he'll be there. Which he'll probably do like any second now. And then, what does Valdemar gain from Imperial Age? I mean, yes, Great Bombards, so we could see a lot of Great Bombards on the map.
Well, the big bonus, especially with the Istanbul Observatory that he did age up with, is increased production speed from your blacksmith. And so on your military academies, you're up to, what's it, 200%? Oh, sorry, 100%, so they're double the speed. So you're going to get your Great Bombards, which, great unit, very powerful. But you're just going to get everything faster.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's something I only really learned to appreciate when I started playing the Byzantines, is that having a fast production speed actually is very valuable. Like, before that it was like, well, yeah, you get the units faster, but I mean, what's the point? Like, it's still the same cost and whatever. But like, no, it actually is a big deal to get it faster, so twice the production speed is really a big deal. And talking about big deal, we have a Great Bombard here, setting up and about to test fire. So yeah, just that design, that's so great.
And he did use a Great Bombard Vizier point, so I think this is our Bombard from the Vizier point. He has switched his Habit Armory over to Bombard production, but nothing has come out yet. It'll be another minute before another one comes out.
Right, yeah, so Great Bombard from the Vizier point, which, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, what else are they gonna do? Like, you could go for the Horse Archer, or Cavalry Archer it's called with the Ottomans, but I think they're not in a great spot. They kind of come like too late in the game for you to really use them. But
yeah, and with a big crossbow mass, we've got Pringle towers up, we've got walls up. This is not a map set up for horse archers. I mean, especially as you see Valdemar restricting the map even more, adding more walls all over the place.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't completed because there's a tower in the way. But every layer of walls just hampers the mobility of particularly cavalry running around.
Yeah.
It's not impossible to break through, but it takes time. It lets people know that there's coming, right? We were talking before about visibility. Well, this is a way to quote unquote get visibility on the map, because if they want to walk there, they have to smash through a wall.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he also he built a couple towers in between, so he actually does have a lot of vision here if we're looking at it. Um, by the way, I like the wall map, the wall layout. It kind of makes the map look like canal. So yeah, just he probably likes to play on canal as well. I don't know. A little bit of raid coming in here with the Sipahi on the wood line.
Yeah, and that's actually, again, we were just talking about this. You have to burn through the walls. Myriad was burning through some of the palisade walls on the left to try and get to the next gold and the wood line there, right? Trying to take gold on the map while leaving your safe golds behind so that you don't have to worry about them in the late game. And that, gave the visibility for these supplies to come in and pick off a couple of vills.
Yeah, and I mean it's also disrupting, and at some point these couple of Sipahi, I mean yeah, that would be nice here in the back of the crossbows, but then again they might not even be able to do a whole lot, and so the big fight here, basically mangonels against mangonels firing away, and crossbows against Sipahis, Janissaries rather, and the
I really like the choice here by Valdemar. The Bombard's been targeting the mangonels. It hasn't been going for its big infantry AoE. It's been picking up the mangonels so that these Janissaries can come in safely and clean things up. And I say that they take a full double shot and lose an entire volley of them.
Yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate, but yeah, I mean I think that's the purpose of that one great bombard, is to actually just snipe away the mangonels from the opponent, and we saw that in another game previously, where the royal cannon was mainly, or also the on the opposite side, the bombards were mainly used to get rid of the springles and the mangonels, because yeah, I mean there's not really a counter siege unit as it used to be with the springles, but I mean cannons still do the job, so yeah, might as well use them.
This is a very dangerous push by Valdemar, right? He has enough siege to take out buildings pretty easily. He's getting Sipahi into the back lines and picking off vills. And, he's still got, well, now he's up to 2 great bombards and a bunch of springholds. And he's just going to start chipping away at the front of Myriad's base. And, Myriad does have his little enclave to the right where he's getting all his gold. He's got wood, but his safe wood at home is almost out. So, that gold enclave is going to be running off to the right and grabbing some of those small wood patches. But you're still, having your front door pushed in, basically.
Yeah, pretty difficult here for Myriad right now, and I mean at the same time, Valdemar, the one thing that he is lacking right now is a strong front line, but I mean at the same time you don't really need it as much if your opponent is just having crossbows and spearmen, which is not a strong front line as well. And so
yeah, he is spamming out Sipahi. If you look at his forward base he's built, it's all stable, so he's just spamming out Sipahi to be that front line. Problem is they just keep dying or raiding the backside, so you don't see them very much here.
No,
but they are running around there.
Yeah, exactly. They were running around, and I mean, at the end of the day, if they can kill a couple villagers, it's totally fine. But yeah, other than that,
a couple of good mangonel hits seem to be pushing off the main force, but well, I just say we've got. Still have a Sipahi sitting in the background. He's on his 3rd villager on farming away and is just getting stabbed in the back. We've got a 40 fill advantage for Valdemar. Myriad's not pop captain, Valdemar is, and he's dropping a keep right in the center.
Look at that keep! Oh my goodness! If that really goes up, that's gonna be very tough for Myriad to deal with. I mean, it's not only camping the whole production here in the front. It's also the ticket to the Golden Gate. It's the ticket to the town center, and then there's the high armory on the right side, and the high trade house.
Myriad to bring his army out underneath the cannons, basically, right?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for this keep, Myriad would kind of hunker back a little bit, fight. Oh, right. When the cannons are in range, he would just step back a little bit. But now these cannons are safe behind this keep.
Yeah,
not much going on here.
you're really forcing your opponent to deal with the keep and then also with the bombards like behind that, and it's just too much. And I that was really incredible. Like the last 5 minutes or so, like there was a notable switch in the momentum.
Yeah, it was a very interesting game. Like going into this, I really thought that Myriad was going to be going up 2-0, right? I thought
Yeah.
that this is a stronger Civ. It's a pretty good map. Ottomans
Mm.
are historically kind of a weaker Civ. Um, but and then we even in the middle part of the game, right, when we had that
Mm.
kind of, let's call it, skirmish over the right hand sacred site and the right hand gold, right? It looked like Valdemar was kind of trying to play the reverse of what Valdemar or Mira did last time of, oh, secure the sacred sites and then just hunker down and wait things out.
Yeah.
He lost that skirmish though. He couldn't continue with that and was able to just age up and push through the center pretty easily.
Yeah, that was very impressive, and that's the thing. Like I thought that was kind of like maybe a bad timing of taking the fight, but it all worked out. He just messed up again, got his Imperial Age sooner, and forced Myriad to react to that because you can only like fight for so long against someone who's Imperial Age and you're still castle. And then for some reason Myriad had such a bad fight here, and then tried to mess up again, but then another terrible fight.
Well,
And
like I think that fight was a lot. That was a fight with Great Bombards on one side
mm,
and Mangonels on the other.
yeah,
And the Mangonels were shooting at Sapahi for the most part, or kind of whiffing shots on Janissaries. And the Great Bombard was just, all right, Mangonel down,
yeah,
Mangonel down, right? And once the Mangonels were out, Janissaries went in and just cleaned up the entire army.
definitely.
And Abbasid are great at making archers, right? They they get their second TC up really fast. They've got a really strong economy, and if they age up, all those archers instantly get their military bonus there and get a really nice attack speed bonus.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, with the composite bow, as soon as you hit Castle Age, that is always very, very nice with the Abbasid. And I am very interested to see how Valdemar plays the Abbasid on this map in particular, because so on coastal cliffs, the stone is always kind of far away from your town center. Um, and so that would make the echoing play a little bit more difficult to pull off. I mean, you can still do it. It just takes a little bit more time to walk over there, and then it's exposed. It could be attacked by some Musafadi warriors and stuff like that. So interested to see how he is gonna play that. Myriad on the other side does have a very nice pit mine in the back of his base, so he will be loving that spawn. For sure, like very, very safe behind his base. Barry's close by if he wants to go for that, and he doesn't really care about the stone as much.
No.
Ooh, interesting for the secondary and third goal for him. Like they are
Yeah, he's
so
got a
close.
yeah. That's a point that you need to defend, but you know, a house can basically. I think they're 3 tiles away. Actually, to be honest, which might be a little bit awkward for actually placing the houses.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I'm saying. Like it looks like it's 3 tiles, or maybe it's just 2 tiles even, and
if it's
then
2 tiles, they can share a house row, which is really nice. But if it's 3 tiles,
mm,
you have to stagger it a little bit. You can only fit 8 houses around one of these, but there is a little because of that. There is a little bit of play, so he should still be able to get 8 on both of those if he goes up to that.
yeah,
Um, but it just means that he has to secure this point very, very secure, very carefully. But
yeah.
there's no natural features to wall off of or to anchor to, right? Like on
No,
the other
no.
side, you've got both big tree lines, and here it's just open space.
Yeah, so the other part he can wall off very easily on the left side of his map of his base. For this part here, like the monster quarry usually is the go-to landmark, but I
Yep.
think this is one of the situations where if you place the Saharan trade network somewhere like in front of those two goals, like close to the deer maybe, like you secure the deer for
Yeah, I
yourself,
don't think
but you also
I don't
get
think
like
you can do. I think you're if you go with the trade network, you're playing too much into the fears of maybe this is the right case, right?
yeah,
The
yeah.
trade network is best when you're dealing with early aggression, right? Think Mongol type plays. If you can secure the trade network there, and particularly if you can do it in such a way that you can still potentially use it for traders later on, that's a very defensible choice. It's going to save you a lot of time and effort. But on an open map like this against Abbasid, who are a bit of a slower building up civ, the trade network's not going to help you.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. I mean, yeah, I was thinking about like, you know, if there's like a military wing opening, maybe if like, because obviously they can play more aggressively if they want to, and then the Saharan trade network would have its use. But yeah, I mean, definitely against Abbasid, if you're expecting like a more traditional way of them being played, Mansa Quarry being the better option for sure, and that's also what he's going for. So. He's definitely the same opinion.
Interestingly enough, from Valdemar, he's going with the culture wing opening, which is third on the list of openers I would have expected. I would have expected eco, and I would have expected military wing number 1, to be honest. If military wing's really nice from Abbasid, particularly if there's an exposed gold against Mali, you can go and be a little bit disruptive, a little bit annoying. We talked before, it's not really good counter to archers early, so those 2 archers can be a big pain. But we went culture, which means fast castle.
Yeah, very very curious choice for sure. I mean, yeah, you get all the research technology and stuff. You get a cheaper. So and yeah, then also like a cheaper fast castle. So in a way, like. Kind of like similar to what the Ayyubids have with their advancement wing, I believe it's called. But yeah, so definitely different open, and I agree. I would have expected that to be like the third one maybe. Other pro scouts could be an option. I mean, we do have a mill.
Well,
yeah.
I guess you can do pro scouts, but the thing is, your scouts are going to lose badly to Mali's warrior scouts, right? The Mali warrior scouts are their horseman replacement, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
They get a ton of extra damage versus other scouts. They move faster than other scouts, and they've got that health regen. He did build a stables and has built a second scout, so it does look like he's going that way.
Yeah, and he's definitely he's currently researching it as well, and you can see like the difference here. Like usually it's 275 gold, and now it's 220. And so definitely like a lot cheaper here, and like in turn, since it's cheaper, you also usually get it like faster because you don't need to gather as much gold. So interesting to see that. Like I honestly have never seen that before. But
yeah, this is a very strange build, very unique build by Valdemar. Yeah, and I think he's gonna get punished by it pretty heavily, specifically because of this matchup.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like against Malians, like I do agree. Like we see the Warrior Scouts being massed here, and against the Warrior Scouts, you're gonna have a very tough time. But I guess Valdemar is kind of, I would say, somewhat famous for going for some wild builds and some unusual things. Especially because it can throw your opponent off. Because like as I said, like I would have never in my wildest dreams expected an opener like that. But here we are. And so maybe Myriad is kind of like in the same position that he's like, what is this guy doing? I have no idea what to expect anymore.
And we see Valdemar secured half of 1 deer pack, and Myriad's going to steal the rest of that. Valdemar has a camel archer and horseman combo as his choice to try and fight these warrior scouts. And then Myriad's bringing in a couple of Donzos to try and secure against this. He's got 6 warrior scouts, and I think all of them are bringing back deer at this point from Valdemar's side of the map. He hasn't had to start pulling in any of his close deer yet, although it looks like 2 of them are just coming in now. So, again, pretty advantaged for Myriad. I mean, that Camel Archer is going to do really good against Donzos. Right? They get the bonus damage against light infantry. But Donzos are going to get a shot in on their own. And that's going to deal real damage to Camel Archers.
Yeah, so eventually he will need to be able to heal it up at some point. So that's going to be his issue for at some point. But yeah, I mean for now it's working good. And so, really curious to see how it plays out. I mean, we've seen in the previous games that it doesn't really matter that much how the early game goes if you're losing the mid game. And to our earlier discussion here with the pit mine on the right, it actually works that you can put the the third pit mine like right next to the houses.
That's beautiful.
That is
That's
awesome.
every Mali player's dream.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've never seen like gold spawning that close to each other actually, and so I
It
wasn't even
happens a
aware that
couple
it
of
works.
times, but not very often.
Yeah, but yeah,
And
definitely a dream come true here.
the Warrior Scouts managed to pick off one of the Camel Archers. You're gonna lose a Warrior Scout in response to the Horsemen, but I think that's a pretty good trade. Camel Archers are not cheap units.
No, but then again, it was like very low health already due to the
Yeah, the
Donzos.
Donzos getting there.
And so it was fine. Like it would have died eventually anyway, and so he could have just like brought it back to his base and wait for the imams to eventually heal it up in Castle Age. But then again, he might as
Valdemar's aging up to castle with Eco Wing.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can do that. Like he is on, like he is going on stone right now, so like just kind of like the reverse order of the wings that I would have expected. Like military first, and then eco, and then culture, but he went the other way around. So
And Myriad's got 4 production buildings pumping right now. He's getting a bunch of Jazz. Jazz Spearman is the main comp, and he's still got 5 Warrior Scouts, basically preventing any further deer coming in. But he is nowhere near aging up. He doesn't have any cows set up if he wants to go for Fulani. And I think we've come to see Farimba maybe isn't the strongest choice even with the remake.
no, it's that's the thing. Like I don't think it's like still doesn't feel too great. Although it doesn't. This doesn't necessarily look like he's going for a cow boom because he's building a blacksmith right in the like next to the cattle ranches. I do think for the
extended feudal here a little bit, right? It's going to take a while for the cows to come up. He's got 2 mills going, but Mali can't get punished by heavy units, right? They've got their crossbow equivalent Musafatis in the feudal age. So if your opponent goes up to castle and they expect to use heavily armored units to disrupt you, you're fine.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely can work out well. And so again, like it does look like he's going for the garrison instead, but I don't think he has the gold income currently to really make that one work. So really curious to see what he's gonna do.
He's just gonna go up with Fulani. He's gonna play it safe, play traditional, get a ton of free food, right? It's like 10 villagers worth of free food.
Yeah.
And just use that with all his production buildings to pump out a mass of units.
Yeah, I think that definitely should be the play. And on the other hand, we do have the second TC coming up for Valdemar. He did go off stone, so he's not mining any more stone, so it will for the time being be only, quote unquote, only 2 TC Abbasid play here. He's also moving out to the other gold because he was pushed off of his main gold, but I mean for now he'll be fine. And it's just it's taking Myriad a little bit of time to torch it down. So I think in general like he's up 1 age and he has 2 TCs, so the more time that Valdemar can get, the better it is for him.
Yeah, there's going to be a sweet spot here right after Myriad ages up to Castle of Mali. One of the hidden bonuses, every civ has a couple of things that if you're not very familiar with the civ, you're going to forget about. One of the hidden bonuses for Mali is their Castle Age upgrades take less time to make. It's 30 seconds versus a minute. So they've got half time for castle upgrades. So even if he ages up late, he's going to respond really well, and he's going to be able to, play catch up and use his reasonably sized on-field army to put some pressure on.
Yeah, I think that like the only thing that he doesn't will not be able to respond to very well is to the imams picking up the relics. Oh, that's so sneaky. Look at that. He just put down the relic there. Oh man, I love that.
Yeah, well, he's trying to get that third one. He's just getting it behind the walls. But you... Yeah, a bit of a weird spot. We've got Knights onto Myriad's gold mine, and we've got Gonzo Jav onto Valdemar's army and his gold mine. So both sides getting disrupted somewhat lightly right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just trading blows here back and forth, and so Myriad is aware of the second TC, and is
trying to torch it down, to be honest, but I don't know if he's got
yeah,
enough.
it looks like he's torching it down, but I mean, he doesn't have the numbers to actually do that. And so just trying to wiggle down Valdemar's army here.
And javelins have not aged up yet, so this is a bit of a dicey battle. It is nice to try and get the javelins trading off early, right? They do better in small engagements. But it would have been nice to get that next upgrade for them. They get a huge chunk of ranged armor once they get into castle, and really can just sit safely underneath the TC.
Yeah, that really is a game changer for them. So, but yeah, I mean, they can just reach castle age, so it does take a little bit more time for him to actually manage that. And
they're
I mean,
in there now.
With the relics earlier, you know, like that served like two different purposes. So one, Valdemar couldn't just like walk through there because there was the army from Myriad, but then he also is able to grab the relics that are further out and secure them as well, and just put them inside of his base. So I really like that play, and overall, like I think he did fine with the fight here, holding against Myriad, and yeah, just now again, like his time is on his side in general because he's on 2 TCs, and he's also disrupting the gold income here in Myriad's base. But at some point he does need to get pumping and really use the stronger Abbasid eco that he should have by now, actually.
Well, if you look at the eco numbers right now, Myriad has 1600 food a minute. Valdemar has 600.
Wow.
That's a huge amount of difference. Valdemar is making it up in wood, and we talked before, Archer's very strong against Mali. But now we're in castle. We've got sofas. Sofas are going to have extra armor over knights, so it makes them even better than archers in this specific matchup. And we've got the extra armor on the javelin throwers that we had. We're stopped producing them, but there's still going to be a tanky little line here to hold things back.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also the thing is, like with the archers for Abbasid, since he didn't go for the military wing, he doesn't have access to the composite bows yet.
Exactly.
And so his archers actually going to be just regular ass archers, and yeah, could be tough. I mean, he does have a mangonel now on the field, which is going to be great against Musafadis as well as the javelins. So yeah, getting a shot off here, quite a lot of damage here, 60 damage on the javelins. But now the sofas are moving in.
Yeah, off-screen sofas managed to pick off the relic coming back. But yeah, we've got an engagement going on here. And we've got villagers repairing the mangonel, which is going to make the difference for this fight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can see it gets healed up so quickly. And sofas underneath the town center getting shot at.
One thing I do want to kind of make a nice call out here for the Musafadis. If you see a lot of production of Musafadis from Myriad here, and you'd be thinking, well, there's not that many men-at-arms really. It's mostly spear archer or spear crossbows. Why am I doing that? Look at the income here. Myriad has 1400 gold, but he's only got, or 1400 gold a minute, but only 600 wood per minute. So you know what? Better to have those barracks producing something than producing nothing. And if that something is Musafadi, great. So that's kind of why they're there. They will beat spears in a head-to-head, but they're just there to use your production.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've seen that quite a lot of times now, actually, with pro players or like high-level players. For example, going for crossbows, and like you're sitting there scratching your head, being like, well, there's no armored units there. Why is he going for crossbows? It's like, well, he doesn't have any wood. Like, what should he do? Not do anything? Like, he needs to have some kind of units, and then having crossbows is like still a lot better than nothing, even if it's like, you know, technically not countering anything, but like at the end of the day that doesn't really matter that much as long as you're having, you know, army on the field and being able to contest something. And then also Mutafadis also, they can also like technically like using their stealth and then just run around and being like less easily detected. And so overall, like I like Mutafadis in this comp, and yeah, why not do it?
Fight was kind of brutal. I know we didn't focus on it. We were talking about higher level strategy things, but the one mangonel saved the fight for Valdemar, right?
Yeah.
It prevented the army from pushing through, but he lost so many villagers, right? Villagers were just sitting on the mangonel repairing it and getting picked off by javelins and archers and whatever is running throughout the base. So we had, you know, a 10-20 villager lead almost, and now we're back down to within 5.
Yeah.
And it's a necessary evil. It gives Valdemar a chance to still win the game, but it doesn't feel good.
No, it definitely doesn't feel good, and at the same time, I mean, talking about, you know, like time is on, you know, whoever else's side. Like right now, Myriad, he actually secured the sacred site, so we have 7.5 minutes until he would win the game by default here. And he's like, his army is looking very strong. Sofas are super strong units. He has the poison arrows as well with the archers, so he almost completely switched from the javelin throwers to the archers and sofa comp. And
this is a super strong comp. I mean, we see it more often, like it's similarities in feudal with French, for example, of Royal Knights archers, right? Very strong comp, very hard to deal with. And Mali into the feudal age, I don't get to even stronger archers, right? They get their poison arrows, which is their equivalent of incendiary arrows. They don't get incendiary arrows, but it does mean that they've got a guaranteed 4 damage against armored units, right?
yeah.
So you can't just hope to get by, and even if the fight's over and you're disengaging, you're still going to lose a couple more units.
Yeah, and like also like, yes, it is the equivalent of the incendiary arrows in a way, but you get it a lot like earlier, and also I believe cheaper than you would get the incendiary arrows, and so definitely a good trade-off, I would say.
Yeah, and now we're into the Abbasid player having fewer villagers than Mali, and this is a disaster here, right? These archers, this mangonel's done his work, right? He's had many hits, but Sofa just running through the farms, archers picking off the villages, repairing the mangonel.
Yeah, and the thing is, even if the villager numbers would be equal, like then you have to compare the passive bonuses from each civ. So Abbasid with the Golden Age getting 15% faster gather rate, but then you also have like the massive passive gold and food income that the Malians get, and so like even with comparable villager numbers, Malians are still doing fine.
Yeah, and like so much of Valdemar's food eco has been idled and destroyed. He doesn't feel safe going onto these farms, so he can't produce. Right? If you don't have food, you can't produce units unless they're siege.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, great, but siege is gonna win you games against Sofas.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, just looking at the food per minute, like 1,500 more for Malians at the moment. So yeah, and then also you're having multiple TCs. Well, that's cool. If you're not having any food, you can't produce any villagers anyway. And so really difficult to.
We got a question from the chat comparing Kashyyyks, regular knights, and Sofas. So Sofas and Kashyyyks are both weaker than regular knights, but have some sort of advantage to make up for it. In Sofa's case, they cost two-thirds the price, and so you can mass them a lot easier. And they've got 1 extra armor, so that means they counter their the stuff that they're supposed to counter, like archers and men-at-arms. They counter better, but they're weaker versus things like spearmen or crossbows. But you can mass them really easily, so it's nice. Kashyyyks in a similar space, but instead of having extra armor, they get health on attacks. So that's kind of where they rack up. And if you've, StarCraft's a lot of RTS comparisons here. Malian and Mongols are probably the most Zerg-like civs.
Yep.
Where they really like a mass of cheap units often. So that's kind of how you can envision it. And we see,
Yeah, as we're talking StarCraft,
the game
Valdemar
ends.
tops out.
Realistically, the game was kind of over once Valdemar had fewer villagers than the Mali player.
Yeah.
We did kind of point out that, you won these fights, or you survived these fights, but at Pyrrhic cost, right? You lost so many villagers, and eventually your economy just kind of implodes at the end there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, of course, he can't see like how many villagers exactly his opponent has. So it's as a player, it's always difficult to, or not always, but like most of the time, it's probably a little bit more difficult to figure out like where you're standing at the moment, compared to when you're a caster. You haven't got vision, and you're like, well, I can see the game is over, but players may not be able to see that as clearly, and so of course he is gonna push forward and was trying his best, but yeah, you can see like the eco difference is so huge here for the Malians, and um, I yeah, I mean you called it, like he did go for the Pro Scout build. It was a very interesting opener, but it didn't really provide him with as much as he would like. I think he would have been better off if he went for like a fast 2-3 TC play as you would normally expect maybe from the Abbasid.
Yeah, if he could, wall off the top side where we just say he has walls, but let's say he does two TC opener right from the start, maybe with military wing to disrupt those hunts, right? Wall off the top. Well, you've got your top hunt secured. He can't get his warrior scouts in there, and then sure, maybe he fights over the one at the bottom, but you're still getting that advantage. And if you're looking at 60 versus 40 villagers, that's a lot better than 60 versus 50, right? And just every minute that you get that can TC up faster makes a big difference.
I invited you. It is gonna be on 4 lakes, by the way. So the map here, as we can see, it's correct. So
That does make a
Mongols
big difference.
against Ayyubids on 4 lakes. And so for example, on this kind of map, it's gonna be different. Like I probably would start with a dock, Dark Age dock, without even opening with the Uvu. And then just like try to get like you have a delayed fuel age and you have less stone to work with, but then again you also have like a massively increased food eco. So that's probably what I would try to look for, but yeah,
Yeah, I
again,
mean, 4 lakes means it's all about the water play, right?
yeah,
So it's interesting to see Ayyubids here. They're not conventionally considered one of the strong water civs, I don't think, but they do have a very easy to perform and very easy to do fast feudal. If you age up with the culture wing, you can get your feudal about 30 seconds to a minute faster than anyone else.
yeah.
Zushi can kind of compete on that, but that takes a lot of really close micro, which means that you can defend your docks with archer ships before anyone else.
Yeah,
so that makes it interesting versus Mongols, who are often using Dark Age spearmen to burn down the docks. See how it plays out.
Yeah, that's why I also would probably not try to to burn it down, but rather like to contest it by opening with my own dock. Especially, yeah, as you mentioned, like Ayyubids, not conventionally known for being like a water map civ. And so maybe you even get away with having a dock, and they might even not go for a dock. So it could be either way. And we do see, as I was explaining, like not going for the Uvu, but instead going for a Dark Age dog, immediately going for some fishing boats, 5 villagers on wood for now, and then he'll move out to the gold and probably set like 1 or 2 villagers on gold at some point. Just to get up to
Myriad
fuel
is
age.
not going for a dock from his side. He's doing a pretty normal opener. What you would normally expect to see from the Ayyubids. So if he moves on to the docks later on, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I
But
think eventually you probably need to get onto the docks. Like if the game goes longer, like eventually you will be behind if you're not going on water, like no matter what you
yeah,
do. But yeah,
you
not
do
not
have to
starting.
secure the pawn.
Not starting
Yeah,
at least, yeah. He did go for the House of Wisdom, like closer to his goal, but then decided against that. Maybe because of early aggression and not wanting to have your House of Wisdom exposed. I don't know
they're
if that
all
was
already chained up together, right? He needs, I think, one house
right.
maybe to finish connecting everything. So he wants to use this to connect to his main wood, his backup wood, and potentially the deer if he just puts down a mill by the deer. So it helps stretch out his base rather than kind of consolidating his already strong points.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Yeah, so no real surprise here for me with the reinforcement wing. So Desert Raider's gonna be here in play, and again, so like what you could do with Mongols, of course, like especially here you have two goals close by. You could go for a tower rush, but the thing is like you probably you get it up before the Desert Raiders come in. But then you only have this one tower. There's no way to like connect like a line of towers to maybe even also deny the wood line or the berries. So that probably wouldn't be possible. You just have to go back. And then also against Abbasids and Ayyubids, I feel like a tower rush is even less viable because they can construct ramps without having the need to go for a blacksmith and research um, the technology for that. And so it's yeah, just less investment that they need to do in order to get rid of the tower. And so he's
And if we look at our mini map, we
what
see
is
a villager heading out to Valdemar's pond.
ooh, okay.
So Myriad is just choosing violence. He doesn't want both people, getting fish and eating pescatarian diets. He wants violence. His lakes are the only lakes.
Yeah. And you know what? Like the Khan went like they passed each other, but I don't think that Valdemar actually recognized that.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed it, but he did do something clever that I really like with his fishing boat. Fishing boats have, I'm going to call it scout fishing, larger vision radius, can see through stealth. So he put his third fishing boat out to the far fish rather than keeping them
Ooh.
all stuck clustered on the close fish, so that he can see this dock going up.
Oh,
Whether he can respond to it is a different story, but he can see it.
that is so genius. Like I never thought about that. I mean, like guess what? I'm not Conqueror 3, but like this is like really genius. Like yeah, he definitely knows about that. So like even before it gets constructed, even before the first archer ship comes out, like the Dow, which was now gonna happen. He knows about that, so he could actually try and look like he reached his feudal age now himself. He could try and look to contest that with a light junk by himself. Okay, he's going for the naval arrow slits, so he knows that it's gonna happen, and so that's why he's choosing the arrow slits, which is also nice because with the Mongols you don't actually need
Yeah.
to go for the stone because you already have it here with the Ubu.
Yeah, and the naval arc that's very strong technology. They can really save. Don't underestimate. It can really save you in some of these naval fights.
Yeah, I think in the early game it's super strong. Like yes, of course, eventually like going castle or imperial age, it doesn't really matter anymore. But like for the early game, it really pays off quickly. And so definitely a good choice here. And in the meantime, the Khan is just hitting at the villagers, which also needs like Myriad needs to pay attention here. So very annoying, very good play here from him.
But I mean, Myriad's put up a dock on his own base, right? He's got a second pawn secured. There's no second pawn for Valdemar. He's still playing it. His gold mine tower got denied, so Valdemar's not mining gold. So that Desert Raiders kind of paid off. And it looks like Valdemar's just trying to play to... Oh, he's playing Mangadai. That's a very interesting choice here.
Yeah, definitely a very interesting choice. I mean, you can do that, of course, because with the deer stones you also have access to the Khan's hunters, which will increase their range. So, in a sense, the Mangadai will be a lot better. But I don't think like the Mangadai never struck me as the the counter unit to the Desert Raiders, to be fair.
No, but I think this is to try and disrupt some wood lines or disrupt food or disrupt, really just, you know, be classic Mangudai things of just be annoying.
Yeah.
And they're just, if you've got the APM to spend, they're just pretty effective at that.
Yeah, I mean, in early game with relatively low numbers, they're still very effective, and they don't have to, like, for example, with the Kashik, you would have to go right in, and then you're already like almost underneath the town center. With them, you can just like stand around a little bit further away. But yeah, talking about APM, like that was not a good trade here, and the Horseman is faster. Yeah. Quite a lot actually. So the Mangudai are even slower than regular knights or regular cavalry units, and so the Horsemen very easily able to, you know, close the gap, except with the signal arrow that is saving it right now.
Well, that was a really good response by Myriad. Now Valdemar anticipated this, has some spearmen coming out, but the more this position keeps looking more and more like Myriad came in with a very solid plan and is just using that plan to keep getting ahead. Right? He's got fishing boats on his 2 lakes now and somewhat locked down the third. He's going to lose his Dow to, you know, mistracking. We were talking about APM is a cost you have to be willing to pay.
Yeah.
So lost that to not paying the cost. But, you know, he's still pretty ahead.
Yeah, definitely, and I mean, like he always like seemed to me to be like a guy with a plan for sure. What I like about Valdemar's approach here is that he immediately switched into regular archers, so he only got those 2 Mangudai for now at least, and is now switching into a heavy melee comp, which of course limits his mobility, but which with the YAM network, you can kind of mitigate that issue. You get 15% more move speed, and so it will be fine to still work around the Desert Raiders and the Horsemen, and you're countering both with this kind of comp. And so I like just the immediate switch and not like stick to your guns and then just lose with the wrong strategy, but it's just instead just being able to adapt on the fly.
And part of that was because he didn't have the gold for more Mangudai, right? He didn't get cut off, but switching and he saw he had an opportunity after kind of doing that scout with Mangudai. It's like, oh, there's opportunity here for me to really get ahead. And now we've got a lot of posturing here of, well, I can see you trying to put up a tower. You need that tower to be able to kite back and forth. So it looks like Myriad is able to push him off that tower.
Yeah, I mean, now it would be nice to have some Horsemen or Kashik to get onto the archers here. Because in order to deal with that, you would need to have many more archers than the opponent does have, and spearmen getting sniped out by Myriad's archers. So
yeah, just pulling all the way back. But another difficult loss. And I don't know if Valdemar realized that back home he's managed to kill off the Dow in his pond, because he's keeping his fishing boats at the far pond, assuming that the Dow is just back healing. So
yeah, he doesn't have vision, so he probably assumes. I mean, okay, it could be that he knows that he killed the one, but maybe there's a second one already in queue.
If he knew he killed it, he would move it back to the close deep water fish, because you know that travel time is significant. So I think he just missed it because that was in the time when they were doing some posturing.
Yeah, he definitely missed that, most likely. Especially because if the Dow doesn't attack and just gets killed off, then yeah, you wouldn't get any notification about that anyway. So yeah, now we're seeing at least one Kashik in the mix, so a little bit more diverse army here for Valdemar. Again, just, you know, switching on the fly, being able to adapt and quickly shift your attention. But at the same time, we do have Myriad moving out here with his trusted Desert Raider Horseman comp. He probably
doing a light little raid here. I don't know if he's gonna see that Valdemar has his second pond up.
No, I don't. So when, like, he probably doesn't know. He doesn't have a scout yet. But he's probably gonna look for that.
Valdemar does have the vision advantage here. I love the little scouting eagles that you can put up. Just dump it on a resource area that you're concerned about, and you'll know everything about it for the next little bit.
Yeah, yeah, it's really nice. And one more thing with the Khans hunters is that they also provide vision range for the archers, but they also do have the falcon, the signal arrow here, scouting falcon, and so you actually, if you have a couple of them, you can actually put down a couple of the falcons around the base of your opponent. But for now, we're having a fight here in the middle. The horseman matched the spearman archer Kashik comp here.
Yeah, this is a good fight for Valdemar. Any damage he can do here is great. Myriad just has to try and escape. Don't know how much he's going to get away with.
Ooh,
that was a
costly.
bit of a blunder by Myriad with his scouting forces.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a couple of stealth forests here. He doesn't have a scout left, and so I think that really was a blunder, and this one too here, like leaving those two just out in the open. So Valdemar now really has the advantage that he needed to push forward, even though there's still like quite a lot of archers here for Myriad. So Myriad is still doing okay. In the meantime, was able to go up to Castle Age as well, which
Valdemar is immediately going to try and aggro that down. He's pretty close to Castle himself, but he's putting down a ram. He's going to try and take out this outpost and see where he can go from there.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the perfect time for him to strike as well, because, like, yes, your opponent went into Castle Age, but he doesn't have the upgrades yet. I mean, it will not take for long, but still. Right now, there's still Feudal Age archers. You can now hit them before they reach Castle Age, like the veterans.
And Myriad doesn't really have a good way to take down the clown car. I mean, we removed most of the clown car capabilities, making them wait a little bit longer before shooting after jumping out. But archers aren't going to take that down. That outpost is going down, and those villagers will be exposed.
Yeah, now veterans who came in, but there's still Kashik in the front. But they're lancers now, so we have camel lancers in the mix, and as long as there's no spearmen for Valdemar, there's no way how you can deal with the camel lancers.
Valdemar's going up with the curl tie and putting down 2 more archery ranges.
Yeah, so looking at 1 stable, 3 archery ranges, and
yeah,
only
on the other
barracks.
side we re-stabled 2 archery range for Myriad. So production advantage to Myriad, military advantage to Myriad, and economy advantage to Myriad. So
yeah,
things a little bit dicey for Valdemar here right now.
Looking like the holy trifecta here for Myriad, having all the advantages that he needs to, and now Valdemar reaching Castle Age, but yeah, we have the same situation, but just reverse. Now he has the issue that he doesn't have the upgrades right now. Yes, he did get the cool tie, which he's he's in the range now. Villagers need to run here. But then again, like camel lancers, like the only way to deal with that is either crossbows, which now are coming out, or spearmen. But in the meantime, like you lose. Oh, look at the villagers! He's losing all the villagers right now. Like they're all idle. I think he gave up. I think he's probably typing in chat right now. This doesn't look like he's still willing to fight. And yeah, there it is. Oh man, what a back and forth. I hate to see the Mongols lose, but I mean Myriad played this like close to perfection, I would say.
Yeah, Myriad really exploited the default tendencies there of going to the dock first, like the conventional build order, right?
Yeah.
He ignored that. This is something I used to like to do with Abbasid a lot, right? On some of these hybrid maps, ignore the conventional build order, go up with military wing, put your dock down in feudal. And this is kind of like a variation on that, but this is another strategy that people can take. It does take most civs longer to age up if you go for dock first. So if you have a plan for dealing with their dock, sometimes you can, and if that plan relies on you getting to feudal, sometimes you can take advantage of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I had quite a few games, especially like I mean for 4 lakes, like the lakes are separate from each other, but like especially on like a classic like water map, like islands or like warring islands or migration or something.
Nal is a really good example of that, actually, I find, where you kind of have this shared water in the middle that isn't all encompassing but is very strong.
Yeah.
It's a good example of a map where you can consider aging up in feudal and then putting down your dock in the center to take over their half of the river.
Yeah. Yeah, and so like I've had games where I went for like you know like with the mindset like, oh, you have to go on water, it's so important, which yes it is, but then you're going on water and then your opponent reaches feudal age and then comes around with 2 3 archer ships and you don't have any way to deal with that and then you lose the game. So that's yeah, that's how it can be sometimes. So Ayyubids coming out on top here, Myriad taking if I'm not really mistaken right now.
Yeah, it's best of 5. He took a 3-1 over Valdemar here.
Yeah. So they just need to finish the tasks, which they are doing right now. I believe they should.
Yeah. So big shout out. Well, big shout out to everyone watching. Big shout out to Manius for casting all day on Warchief Club. And yeah, congrats to Myriad and Valdemar, our winners.
Yeah. So really impressive to see that, and yeah, shout out to both players. They're both providing coaching sessions. So if you're interested in reaching their level or close to it, you can reach out to them and get some coaching sessions. And yeah, very impressive gameplay by both, and I really like the strategy and try to figure out what the thought process behind that is, because I certainly would have played it different, but yeah.
Yeah, my philosophy is like you should spend a third of your time thinking about the game, watching other people play, because you don't have time to learn all the different strategies. And if you're watching someone play something and they approach it differently, that's a efficient way for you to learn something different to try out in your next games.
For sure, for sure. And yeah, and also like another thing would be to not be afraid to learn from your mistakes in a way. I mean, it always sucks to lose, but at the same time, like those are the games where you lose, like learning or can learn the most from. Because if you're winning the game, like, well, you won the game, like you apparently did it correctly. So like, there's probably not too much to learn from that.
Yeah, there's more to learn from losing games most of the time than winning games. But it's
Yeah.
much funner to review your winning games. Be like, oh yes, I was a genius. I did this and I won here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean obviously that's how it is, but it's not the growth that you will experience then so much. But yeah, thanks for being here for the finals. It was great having you, and also to be able to pick your brain in certain situations and bounce ideas off. So thanks for being here, and everybody else for tuning in. We'll head it over to, let's see, I think we'll raid Yak. He's one of our uh, occasional casters as well.
He occasionally casts, occasionally plays in the Warchief Club. And one other thing we should mention, Loyola Legends. Every weekend, if you want to play in a tournament and you are not as good as Myriad and Valdemar here, you can come play Loyola Legends with us. We just had all random week this week. So people played all random civs on mega random map, which was a lot of fun. I heard a lot of people saying it really pushed them outside of their comfort zone and they really got the opportunity to try something else. And yeah, we hope to see you there. We run those every Saturday. And all you have to do is sign up for our Discord, free entry, and there are technically prizes for winning.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, not only technically. So you can win money and you can also win coaching by Myriad as well, for example. He's one of the guys who's providing coaching, so you can actually win coaching by Myriad by participating in our tournaments. So I think if that's not a reason to join, I don't know what else is. So and yeah, we hosting them every week. It's a lot of fun and just a good time to sign up and to yeah get out of your comfort zone and experience a great community. By the way, like I've been part of that for close to 2 years now, and I'm just loving it. So it's been really great.